Alright, so in this video we will be building inside the NZXT H700i. I just reviewed it. You can check out that review video right here. But you guys wanted to see what a build looks like inside of this, not just a review of the case features, and that's what we're going to do in this video. So I've got the Fractal Design Meshify C sitting in front of the H700i because we'll be taking most of the components in this build and throwing them into here. Primary reason why we're doing that's because the motherboard in here, it's the MSI Tomahawk X299 Arctic Edition motherboard is a white PCB board. So that will look really good in the white H700i. Excuse me, there's too many names to worry about here. And then we'll be throwing in also a 360EX Captain RGB AIO cooler. Not because it's the best AIO out there, because it's not, but because I think it looks the best. And this will fit with the white color scheme. Also, we're going to be pairing a Kraken G12, which is a basically it's a graphics card mount for a typical Kraken AIO. We'll be using the Kraken X42 to cool our 1080 Ti in here. So we'll be stripping off the reference, well, it's not a reference cooler, but it's just a blower style cooler from PNY, and putting on the G12 bracket with the X42. And we should have a pretty sweet looking white themed build. We're basically gonna call this the new Walter White PC. I'm not sure how many of you watching this video were around when I uploaded the original Walter White PC build log. That was a super fun build, and a lot of you fell in love with the white color scheme. There weren't too many white builds on YouTube at the time, especially, you know, that weren't custom cooled. It was a relatively cheap build by comparison. It had like a 1070 in it, I think a 6700K. So we're going to up the ante a bit by throwing in a 7900X this time around and a GTX 1080 Ti, but we're sticking with the same white color scheme, which is nice. And also we'll be using primarily NZXT components, with the Deepcool Captain 240 EX being upgraded this time to the 360 RGB EX. But we're sticking with similar components in that sense, similar coolers and similar cases, also similar white motherboards. So without further ado, let's start dissecting this build and throwing the components into the H700i. Alright, so this is where we are with the motherboard installed in the H700i. It looks very good. I like how the white accents on the board match the white cable shroud, which I have different opinions on at this point. I still think it's going to get in the way of our radiator AIO we're going to put up top. And that's going to be the Deepcool Captain 360EX RGB cooler, so stay tuned for that installation in this video. And then we'll also probably take these two SSD trays out. We're not going to put 3 SSDs up here. I think we're just going to have one in the front. So very simple here with the modularity of this case. You just pull these two off, and it actually doesn't look like SSD trays even belong up here anymore, which is cool. So if you're not keen on putting 2 or 3 SSDs up front, you can just remove the trays, and it's not going to look like you're missing any important drive. Now, right off the bat here, you can already see how this cable shroud is going to be a pain to work around. I was thinking about running the tubing this way, so having the AIO tubing starting on the right side of the case and kind of looping around back to the CPU block versus doing it the other way, because this is pretty long tubing here. But the problem is, if I want to drop this down from the top, I can get it through the first slot, but then trying to wedge it between the cable shroud and these pre-installed fans is not going to happen. I actually think I'm going to have to remove the fans to get this block through the gap between the cable shroud and the front of the chassis to connect it to the motherboard. So just a big pain here. Also, for those who were wondering, actually I want to see right now if we can remove the cable shroud. I am not sure if that is possible. Let's see here. Okay, so we got one screw in the front, so that's good news. It's kind of funny. It's good news that we can remove something. There's another screw. Let's see, usually there's one up here. Yeah, that's what screw up there. No, it's hard to see, but there's a screw there. And then I think there's one more at the back of the case. And yep, there is. Again, you can't see that, but there's one back there. So there's 3 screws holding the shroud in place. So I think what we're gonna do is go ahead and remove the cable shroud, and then we'll reinstall it after everything is kind of thrown into the case already. Okay, so I decided to mount the AIO to the front of the case. After mounting it up top, which was actually really easy because of that removable bracket at the top of the case, I decided that the cables looked, not the cables, but the tubes looked just a little too weird because they're so long, because the radiator's so long. The extra tubing was just kind of like doing a weird spiral effect, and I didn't really think that was cool because it was trying to pop out toward the tempered glass on the left side. So with this config here, you can see all we have to do is just kind of wrap it up like that. And it's a very clean run. Those tubes look a lot better in this orientation. So that's what we're going to do. And then keep in mind, we're also going to have another set of tubes running from the radiator mounted to the back of the case to the G12 bracket on our 1080 Ti. And here you have it. This is the new original Walter White. I know it's kind of a play on words there. It's because I've done like 3 renditions of Walter White in the past, but the original Walter White had no water cooling gear whatsoever in it. Just a white motherboard, a white AIO, and a white case, along with a white graphics card. That one I originally just painted. This one I'm using the G12 bracket from NCXT, and I couldn't be happier with the installation process here. This is actually a super cool custom water cooling graphics card bracket, which you can combine with any Kraken AIO. I was really happy again with the installation process here, and it makes your graphics card super quiet, super cool, without all the custom water cooling hassle involved. I'd also like to give all of you a call to action. If you've built a PC in the past that looked anything like Walter White, maybe you had a white theme going on that you were working on before you saw the original Walter White build, or maybe you built your PC in honor of Walter White, which I would say thank you very much for. It's an awesome tribute. Then follow me on Twitter, Science Studio YT, and send your pictures to me. Just tag me in your picture upload, and I'll do my best to retweet as many as I can. I think it's really cool to see all of your takes on white PC builds. I like white because the color of the PC or the theme kind of is controlled by the RGB strip that you have in there. So white reflects any color very well. So if you want a red build, just change the LED strips and everything else in there to red, and there you go, red build. So what I'm gonna do for those who are interested in building their very own Walter White with a budget, you know, not something that's overkill like this, and I'm gonna be frank with you, most of the stuff I get for free anyway, so I really can't even call this my build because I didn't pay for any of it out of pocket. So it doesn't make any sense from a specification standpoint for most workloads, including gaming, and I would argue editing as well. $1,000 CPU, yeah, you'll be just fine with an 8700K or a 1700 or 1700X from Ryzen. What I'm gonna do is link a cheaper alternative. You can make a build look almost exactly like this with much cheaper hardware. All those parts are linked in the video description, tied to my Amazon and Newegg affiliate accounts, so any purchase through those does help us quite a bit. It's a small kickback, but it all adds up, and it lets us produce more content like this. So check out that cheap Walter White version in the description. It'll look very similar to this. In fact, most of it is still consisting of similar, or if not the same parts. But check that out if you want to build something similar. If you like this video, be sure to give this one a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Give it a thumbs down if you feel the complete opposite, or if you hate everything about life. You get two choices there. Click the subscribe button if you haven't already. It's that red button down below, and that little bell notification icon for notifications when I upload videos like these. This is Science Studio. Thanks for building with us.